What's up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. Just me today, but it is playoff season. Yes, playoff season. UFL playoffs getting kicked off tomorrow, 3 Eastern, with the USFL championship game. We got the XFL championship on Sunday night. And we got a bunch of other stuff to go through. So let's start off with some college football news. We have the college football playoff schedule announced for the new 12-team playoff format. It is going to kick off on Friday, December 20th at 8 on ABC and ESPN. And then there will be a triple header for the other 3 first-round games on Saturday, December 21st, starting at noon Eastern on TNT. You have another game at 4 on TNT and a game at 8 on ABC and ESPN. And then, of course, we'll have the playoff quarterfinals on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So the first one, Tuesday, December 31st, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN is the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. And then a triple header on ESPN on New Year's Day, starting at 1 o'clock Eastern, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. 5 p.m. Eastern is the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential, and 8:45 p.m. is the Allstate Sugar Bowl. We'll have the playoff semifinals on Thursday, January 9th, and Friday, January 10th. The Capital One Orange Bowl gets kicked off on Thursday, the 9th at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN, and on the 10th, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN is the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And then, of course, the 2025 College Football Playoff National Championship game will be on Monday, January 20th, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. And as Field Yates said, from December 19th through January 20th, pretty much a whole month, we have an amazing slate of games now. December 19th, we have the Browns at the Bengals. You have the first round of the College Football Playoff, December 20th and 21st. Also on December 21st, we have the Texans at the Chiefs and my Steelers at the Ravens. December 22nd, we have a 12-game NFL slate. The 23rd features the Saints at the Packers. Christmas Day, nothing on Christmas Eve, but then Christmas Day, we have Chiefs at the Steelers, Ravens at the Texans. On the 26th, it is Seahawks at the Bears. We have 12 NFL games slated for December 29th. December 30th, you have the Lions at the 49ers. The quarterfinals on December 30th, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day for the College Football Playoff. 16 NFL games on January 5th. The College Football Playoff semifinals on January 9th and 10th. January 11th through the 13th is Super Wildcard Weekend. And you have the NFL Divisional Round, January 18th and 19th. And then the College Football Playoff National Championship is the January 20th. So a excellent time it will be in December and January for both NFL and college football. One other thing to note, the NCAA is going to allow on-field sponsor logos this regular season. So it's going to look a little interesting. They can be placed on 3 spots, one big one on the 50-yard line, and then 2 smaller ones anywhere else on the field that the team wants. Can be game by game or the entire season. So the school's really looking to recoup that money that they lost or that they will be losing from the settlement, the NIL settlement, the House versus NCAA case. But yeah, it's going to look a little bit different to see that on the field this year. We'll see how many schools do it as well, because that's the whole point about college football. It's tradition. Like some schools, you don't change the field logo. You don't change the stadium name. So we'll see. All right, UFL news. We have the UFL awards pretty much. We are waiting and not heard about who the UFL MVP is. Most people assume it's going to be Stallions quarterback Adrian Martinez. I agree with that. But we do have 4 other awards here, plus the All-UFL team. So, Offensive Player of the Year, Battlehawks wide receiver Hakeem Butler. Very, very well deserved. Led the league in receiving yards. Caught 45 of his 67 targets, 652 yards. That outpaced the field by 38. And he caught 5 touchdowns. That was tied for second in the league. Sal Cannella actually had the most with 6, and had a 1-point conversion as well this season. Just completely dominant for Hakeem Butler, and a guy that definitely should be making another run at the NFL this coming fall. Defensive Player of the Year went to Panthers edge rusher Breeland Speaks, and this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought Breeland definitely deserved this award. Leading sacker on the year, and just a crazy good season here. 32 tackles, 25 of those solos, 9.5 sacks. That is ridiculous production in a 10-game and a regular season. 13 tackles for loss as well, 2 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. So, yeah, I mean, Breeland Speaks was dominant all year for that Panthers defense, and well-deserved there. Now, the next 2 I have an issue with. Special Teams Player of the Year went to Battlehawks linebacker Chris Garrett. He blocked 2 kicks this year, 2 punts, which was the most in the league, and led the Battlehawks special teams that blocked the most kicks in the league with 4. However, that is not what the UFL defined as Special Teams Player of the Year. Doesn't make sense at all. Special Teams Player of the Year should be the best special teams player of that season. And that should have been Chris Rowland, Defenders wide receiver Chris Rowland. Excellent punt and kick returner. I believe went over 1,000 yards combined there, and had the only kickoff return touchdown in the league this year. Consistently put DC in good field position. I thought Chris Rowland definitely should have deserved that. So they have to change that. I agree. Chris Garrett had a good season blocking those 2 kicks and having a majority of his tackles on special teams. However, he should get an award. Maybe we can call it the Hustle Award, which is what I tweeted out about it. I think Chris Garrett deserves the Hustle Award, not the Special Teams Player of the Year. The best special teams player was probably Chris Rowland. You could make an argument for Matt Coughlin as well, or Andre Schmidt of the Battlehawks, and the Showboats for Coughlin there. Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year went to Panthers head coach Mike Nolan. Now, I understand they had more wins than the first 2 seasons combined under Nolan. However, Skip Holtz, 9-1 season. They kind of looked a little weird down the stretch, but they still only lost 1 game. And the other one I'll say, Wade Phillips, I thought those were the 2. I thought those were the 2 guys fighting for it. I thought Wade Phillips, if the Brahmas would have beaten the Battlehawks last week to clinch home field in San Antonio, he would have been the Coach of the Year. But I don't know. I don't really agree. I understand the Panthers also had a really good season with 4 starting quarterbacks this year. I think they played 5 or something like that. But still, I think that Skip Holtz should have probably been the guy. Anthony Becht as well. But they're a pretty loaded roster. So, all right, going to the All-UFL teams here. On offense, the Stallions quarterback Adrian Martinez, Battlehawks running back Jacob Sailors, Battlehawks wide receiver Hakeem Butler, Showboats wide receiver Dawood Davis, Panthers wide receiver Marcus Sims, Stallions tight end Jay Sternberger, Battlehawks offense tackle Jared Jones-Smith. Renegades offense tackle Bobby Evans. Stallions guard Zach Johnson. Brahmas guard Cole Laval. And Battlehawks center Mike Penasuk. There are some issues here. So I don't have an issue with Adrian Martinez. Don't have an issue with Jacob Sailors either. Jacob Sailors, the second most rushing yards in the league, behind only Martinez, and also had tied for second in rushing touchdowns, but he scored 8 total, which was really awesome. The wide receivers, I have an issue with the wide receivers. I know my Memphis Showboats love having David Davis there, but there were 3 other guys that had more receiving yards. More 2 guys that had more touchdowns than him. So I definitely think Jontre Kirkland should have been in consideration. Ended on a very high note, 127 yards last week against the Battlehawks and a touchdown. Justin Hall as well for the Roughnecks. He was the only other player besides Butler and Kirkland to go over 600 receiving yards this year. So, I mean, it probably should have been those two in instead of Daywood and Sims. Now, Sims, though, I do credit, though, the voters for giving him a nod. He had an excellent season in only 8 games. But I think that is kind of an issue, though. You only played 8, right? Like, I mean, you can extrapolate to see what he would have done the last 2 games. But I still don't think – I think you have to give these awards to guys that have played all the games. Other than, say, Jacob Sailors, who played – 9. He didn't play the first week of the season or whatever it was. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I think Kirkland and Hall should have been, at least one of those 2 should have been in for Daywood. Maybe even both of them in for and kick out Sims as well. But tight end, there's a big issue. I know a lot of people were talking about this. Jay Sternberger getting the tight end nod as opposed to Sal Cannella. Now, I do understand as well. 18 less receptions. Or 28 less receptions, I should say. And he only had 43 less yards, 2 less touchdowns. He was targeted a lot less, 28 less targets as well. So I get it. I get the efficiency. He averaged 18.2 yards per reception. The third highest for a tight end with more than 1 reception. And Cannella only averaged 9.4. Yeah, I mean, I still think Sal Cannella, the 2 touchdown difference makes a difference for me. And I like the amount of receptions that Cannella had. It means he got targeted a lot. He caught it a lot. Now, he didn't get as many yards, 9.4 per reception. But still, I thought maybe Sal Cannella should have probably got that one in there. The only offensive line issue I will say is that Liam Fornadell, guard for the Defenders, should have gotten a nod, I thought. He's got 3 workouts, which we'll talk about in a second, but he was probably the one offensive lineman I would make a case for there. On defense, we had Stallions defensive lineman Carlos Davis, Panthers defensive lineman Daniel Wise, Panthers edge rusher Breland Speaks, Roughnecks edge rusher Chris Odom, Brahmas linebacker Tavante Beckett, Battlehawks linebacker Willie Harvey, Defenders corner DeAndre Baker, Panthers corner Nate Brooks, Renegades corner Ajene Harris, Panthers safety Kainakua, Stallion safety AJ Thomas. Now, defense, I got an issue here. All right, so let's look at this. sack leaders this year in the UFL. Breland Speaks, obviously, 9.5. Carlos Davis, also second play, tied for second with 7. Why is Daniel Wise on this list? Because I do not, let's see, 2 sacks this year. Only played in 5 games from my count. And, yeah, I have no clue why Daniel Wise is on this list. If you want to kick out someone, Chris Odom had 5 sacks. Malik Fisher should have been in on this list, either for Daniel Wise or Chris Odom. Carlos Davis, Breland Speaks definitely deserve it. But, dude, I have no clue how they left out Malik Fisher. 33 tackles, 17 of those solo, 7 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 3 passes, defense, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. I mean, I have no clue how you let him not get on this list. I thought that if you're looking for another D lineman to an interior guy to replace Daniel Wise, if you want to put Fisher in for Odom at the edge rush position, look at the same team. I mean, Kenny Willekes. Kenny Willekes played only 8 games, but he had 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 20 tackles, 12 of those solos, and a fumble recovery. I mean, he had a great season. Jordan Thompson as well from the Stallions. He was all over the place with 25 tackles, 17 of those solos, 3.5 sacks, and 5 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. So, yeah, I mean, I have an issue with that one there. Malik Fisher should have definitely gotten a nod here. And then when you look at love the Beckett and Harvey stuff, when you look at corner, I don't know if there's really a big issue there in terms of corner. And I really don't have an issue with the safeties either. It's tough, though. Markel Roby had an excellent season. Tied Kainakua for the and AJ Thomas for the lead in interceptions this season. Markel Roby also tied Nakua and Ajene Harris with the most passive defense this season with 8. So in that regard, I can see why it's tough for them to make Markel Roby, put him in there. But maybe we put 3 safeties instead of 3 corners. I mean, I don't really agree with the Nate Brooks or DeAndre Baker potentially. Brooks probably can make a case. DeAndre Baker, though, I don't really see it. Obviously, I'm just kind of basing this off the stats. Baker didn't have an interception this year. Just 3 pass deflections. But I would make a case for Ajene Harris's teammate. Stephen Jones Jr. had an excellent season. 30 tackles, 22 solos, a tackle for loss, 2 picks, and 7 pass deflections. He's right up there, tied for second, or is 4th place with 7 pass deflections there, and tied for second in interceptions with 2. So, yeah, maybe take Baker out and put Jones in, or maybe even Corn Elder there. Corn Elder had a great season. Kerryon Conley as well. Same team for the DC Defenders there. But, yeah. Special teams, it was Panthers kicker Jake Bates, Renegades punter Marquette King, Panthers long snapper Jordan Ober, and Defenders returner Chris Rowland. There's Chris Rowland on the All-UFL team, but he didn't get the nod in the Special Teams Player of the Year team, or Special Teams Player of the Year award, whatever. But, Jake Bates should not have been the All-UFL kicker. I can tell you that right now. He struggled down the stretch, went 3 of 7 in outdoor games this season, and when you put those stats at 77.3%, man. I mean, he has the long leg. His kickoffs are excellent. But look, I mean, when you want accuracy, you want consistency, that's not the guy that can kick indoor and outdoor. Matt Coughlin is your dude. I thought it should have been either Matt Coughlin or Andre Schmidt as the All-UFL kicker. Coughlin led the league in field goal percentage, 16 of 17 this year, 94.1% with a long of 57. Andre Schmidt, just as good, 19 of 21, 90.5% with a 61 long. So, yeah, I thought for sure that Jake Bates should not have been the All-UFL kicker. Marquette King, very deserving of his All-UFL selection. Led the league in punt average, 48.5, easily paced the field by 2.2 yards over next best. Drew Chrisman there played for the Stallions for 4 games this year. Also, Marquette King, fourth highest. Let's see. Yeah, fourth highest at putting the ball inside the 20-yard line. 9 of his 28 punts, 32.1%, made it inside the 20. That was behind Colby Wadman's 39.1%, 9 of 23. Sterling Hoffrichter's 11 of 31, 35.5%. And Brad Wing, 12 of 35, 34.3%. So pretty, really good season for Marquette King there in Arlington. A couple other notes from the UFL. The Panthers, they placed quarterback Bryce Perkins on IR. However, they are getting back quarterback EJ Perry from IR. He is going to be the emergency third quarterback, though, this week. Not going to play. It's going to be Danny Etling and then Brian Lewerke's show at QB2. Signings to the NFL. A couple guys getting signed. The Commanders, they signed former Stallions kicker Ramiz Ahmed. The Commanders needing a kicker after the release of Brandon McManus following his charges of sexual assault. And the Panthers, they signed All-UFL Showboats All-UFL wide receiver Dawa Davis. So the first skill guy getting signed to the NFL out of the UFL. Workouts, so we might have more guys signed this week, hopefully. Got defenders guard Liam Fornadell. He has workout scheduled with the Packers, the Patriots, and the Browns. Renegades linebacker Story Jackson is working out for the Broncos. Defenders defensive end Malik Fisher is working out for the Ravens. And Showboats defensive lineman Josiah Bronson, he is working out with the Patriots. NFL news, just some general stuff here. The Browns, they signed head coach Kevin Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry to extensions. Not sure how long those extensions were for, but they are now signed long term here. The Chargers, they released center Corey Linsley, who is set to retire, so kind of a formality there with Linsley, but he is going to retire. And the Vikings today, I think it was yesterday, I should say. They announced their new whiteout uniforms that they're going to wear at least once this year. And I'm not a fan, I can say. I wish Jimmy could have been on today to talk about his Vikings new uniforms. I mean, it looks better on Justin Jefferson, I'll say. I guess it depends on the player that you're looking at. Here's a good one, kind of looking at the whole kit there. When I first saw Aaron Jones in it, yeah, I hated this picture. The threes why are the threes so far apart? They got to get that fixed on Aaron Jones because JJ makes it look pretty solid. I just Aaron Jones, that picture just made me not like it. I also kind of wished maybe the Viking horns would have been purple. Just the white on the top. I'm not sure if I like the white horns and the white helmet together. But overall, I mean, it's probably going to look very good on the field. See, Aaron Jones, this is how you do it. 44, and you also have the Harrison Smith as well, the 22. Like the double numbers can be close. I don't know what equipment malfunction happened with Aaron Jones there, but he is the worst picture of this uniform. So. Yeah, I think I like it though. It should look pretty good on the field, I think. All right, extensions. 49ers. They locked up running back Christian McCaffrey, the reigning offensive player of the year, to the tune of a 2-year, $38 million extension, $24 million guaranteed. He is now signed through 2027 and well worth it. Like I said, reigning offensive player of the year. Christian McCaffrey has been an absolute monster for San Francisco after getting traded for a second, third, fourth, and fifth round picks a couple years ago. And the 49ers continue to be just like that close to getting a ring for Kyle Shanahan and CMC there. And getting up to the likes of the Patriots and the Steelers with 6 Super Bowls there, tied for first. Couple other free agent signings. The Steelers, they signed Lions corner Cameron Sutton to a 1-year deal. So I really like this deal. Cam Sutton had an off-the-field issue this offseason, got released by the Lions because of it. Got that figured out, and now is back in Pittsburgh, who originally drafted him. So I like it. They need secondary help still, and didn't really do anything through the draft, but get a good player in Cam Sutton here. The Bucks, they signed Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard to a 1-year deal. That is another pretty good signing by GM Jason Light down there, kicking the tires on a guy that's played 8 seasons and going into number 9. Serviceable player who can give you some veteran leadership as well as some production out of the slot if he can stay on the field. It's a big if. And the Seahawks, they got another camp arm at the quarterback position, signing Browns quarterback PJ Walker. Let's get to the UFL pick standings here. And yeah, it is on, Jimmy. It is on. Alec, a perfect 4-0 last week. He got the his Arlington Renegades correct in his only lone wolf. Jimmy lost his lone wolf with the Houston Roughnecks, and so he went 0-1 there on lone wolves. I also went 0-1 on my lone wolf. My San Antonio Brahmas pick did not work out there. So I went 2-2 as well. I am out of it now. There's 3 games left. I am now 4 games out of first from Jimmy. But Alec is there. Alec is coming. He is 1 game back. It'll be intriguing to see if these two can figure it out. Unfortunately for us, the best thing we might be looking at is a tie because of who they picked this week. And we got the same picks as last week, I can tell you that. Panthers at the Stallions, USFL Conference Championship game tomorrow. And the Stallions getting 5 this time instead of 8 like they did last weekend. And it's going to be an uphill battle again for Michigan. I think they got a good shot at it. I will take the points with Michigan as well. Just like I did last week with 8, I'm comfortable with 5, just seeing how well that defense played under head coach Mike Nolan. And Danny Etling, we need more. We need more from him. We need more from the running game as well. Nate McCrary is going to get the start, but Matt Colburn in the backfield as well should get plenty of touches. And we need someone to step up at the wide receiver position. Cioce Mariner has continued to dominate the last couple of weeks of the season. So we need to see that connection with Etling once again. I think that's their best chance is to score points. I mean, it's kind of a formality, but like that's what you got to do. You have to outscore this Birmingham offense, because if you don't, you're going to lose the game. And the Panthers had the win. They had the win. Jake Bates let them down once again in an outdoor game. I think that's a big storyline coming into this one. Just 3 of 7 in outdoor games. Luckily, he upped that to 3 of 7 in the last game because he was just 1 of 4 before that, but made 2 out of his 3 last week. Unfortunately, the one he missed was the game winner. So I think it's going to be another good game, close one. And if they can keep Adrian Martinez at bay for most of the game, I think they got a good chance. But they have to pounce early like they did last week and kind of hold on like they did in the second half last week as well. But they got to score points in the second half, more points than they did. The total here is 43. And I'm rolling with the under in both games, so under 43 for me. 3 p.m. on ABC. The XFL Conference Championship game on Sunday. The Brahmas at the Battlehawks back in St. Louis for the second straight weekend. And hell yeah, boys, I am rolling. I have nothing to lose. I can't win the pick standings. Give me my Brahmas. I still think they can beat the Battlehawks. This defense is the best defense in the league under head coach Wade Phillips. He knows how to play, how to coach defense, and I think they're going to continue to force A.J. McCarron into some bad throws. They need to capitalize. They need to beat the Battlehawks defense, which had an amazing game last week as well under DC Donnie Abraham. Battlehawks maybe should have lost had they not had that amazing coaches challenge for the illegal player downfield on the 2-point conversion that was successful and then nullified and backed up 5 yards, and then the Brahmas could not get it to go. But they also, just like the Panthers, had a chance to win. Ryan Santoso missing from 50 out, and I'll say he has to make that kick. Also got one blocked early in the game by Kamari Averett, the tight end. Him and Hakeem Butler have been big presences there, or they were last week in the middle of those field goal block teams. So we'll see if they do that again. I'm sure they will because it worked so successfully last week. And I like the Brahmas, though. Give me the defense. Give me the under 44.5. And let's go. Vamos. Vamos, Brahmas. 7 p.m. on Fox in primetime Sunday night. All right, let's get to the draft recap for the Rams and the Steelers. Mark's Rams, my Steelers. For LA, their draft went like this. A lot of picks, a ton of picks. 10 to be exact, I believe. And started off in the first round, number 19 overall, edge rusher Jared Verse out of Florida State. Second round, 39th, defensive tackle Braden Fisk, also from Florida State. Third round, 2 picks, 83rd, running back Blake Corum from Michigan. 99th, safety Cameron Kinchens from Miami. Fifth round, 154, edge rusher Brennan Jackson from Washington State. Sixth round, 4 picks, 196th, defensive tackle Tyler Davis from Clemson. 209, kicker Joshua Carty from Stanford. 213, wide receiver Jordan Whittington from Texas. 217, center Bo Limmer from Arkansas. And 7th round, 254, guard KT Leviston from Kansas State. I really like this Rams draft. They needed both edge and D-line there, and they doubled up on both this draft. Really, really solid picks early on with Verse and Fisk. I was not sold on Corum. I was not a big Corum guy going into the draft, not just for my Michigan hate, but just because I just didn't see the long run speed for him. That was the biggest issue I had. I thought he was kind of a one trick pony as a um, plugger in the middle, and didn't give a lot of wiggle room there in the open field. So, luckily they have Kyron Williams had a good season last year, but Corum's going to get some carries. I mean, they have a decent backfield there, but he's slated in as the RB2 right now, so he's going to get some opportunities. And also, obviously, at Michigan, we didn't see a lot of receiving ability. I would be interested to see that from him as well. In terms of my rookie draft rankings here, I had Corum at 31. So he's not going to be the RB1 to start. So that was a big dip for me for his dynasty purposes. But yeah, I mean, he could be okay. I just have to see more on the receiving ability and the speed. I just did not think was there. Long run speed, I should say. In terms of the rest of the draft, loved the Cameron Kitchens pick. They needed some safety help after they signed Cameron Curl from Washington. They have a bunch of other guys that they've drafted in the last couple of years. They also signed Kenny Logan Jr., who I love, from Kansas. Love edge. Brennan Jackson. The day 3 was awesome from GM Les Snead. Brennan Jackson was a beast there at Washington State. He's going to have a good shot at this roster, I think, because they needed edge rush badly behind Byron Young, who had an excellent rookie season as a third rounder last year. Brennan Jackson already slotted in as the backup to him at right outside linebacker. Jared Verse slotted as the starter at left outside linebacker. So I think they're going to get those two guys to start. They're going to get Braden Fisk to start at one of the two defensive end spots in their 3-4 base as well. Tyler Davis is a guy, excellent player out of Clemson. Motor for days and super experienced. I think he played 5 years of college football. And so, yeah, he's going to fill a need there as a good rotational piece as well. Has a lot of pass rush upside. Love the Joshua Carty pick. I know Jimmy's not very high on drafting kickers, but Joshua Carty was my number 1 kicker when I looked at the guys there. He has the leg strength. He has the accuracy as well. The only thing I will put Will Reichard over him for is big game experience. Reichard obviously playing at Alabama, Stanford for Carty. Hasn't been in a lot of big games in the last couple of years. But I liked Joshua Carty as my number 1 kicker, and the Rams drafted him as such. I liked Will Reichard, I should say, as my number 1 kicker. Joshua Carty was a guy that most people had as the number 1. Ended up going after Reichard, but still a guy that I think is going to do very well. The Rams needed kicker competition. They only had undrafted free agent from last season, Tanner Brown, on the roster at the position. So needed a guy, and I think Joshua Carty is going to do well there in LA. Jordan Whittington's another guy I liked, the less talked about receiver out of the Texas Longhorn group this year. He's going to have a good shot at making this roster, man. I think he's a good player, downfield threat for sure, and very good measurables, 6 foot and 5/8, 202. So yeah, I think he's going to be a good player and a reserve piece there. They needed to upgrade the backup wide receivers, and I think they did that. They also signed a couple of great undrafted guys, Drake Stoops out of Oklahoma and Sam Wiglu's out of Ohio. 2 really solid players that I think might have a chance if they keep 7. And the rest of Bo Limmer is another guy, another great value piece there, getting a backup to Steve Avila at center and a potential guy that can be a swing guy on the inside there at all three positions. But I really liked Bo Limmer as well. Don't have a lot on KT Leviston. Not sure if he's going to make this roster though. They're pretty loaded on the O line in terms of backup players, so we'll see if he can make it or not. But really like the Rams draft. Makes helps when you have a lot of picks. But their day 3 I thought was awesome from Les Snead. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, I like it being a Steelers fan as well. But not just that, it was like really great for Omar Khan and the front office for Pittsburgh this year. They got their needs in, and they hit like early. So while Troy Faltanu wasn't the guy I wanted them to take, a lot of people had him as a guard. The Steelers like him as a tackle, which I'm okay with. I think, you got to play him at the position that he's drafted for, and they're going to kick Broderick Jones over to left right now and put Faltano at right. At least that's how our lads has it. So we'll see. He's only played left tackle, I believe, in his career at Washington. It'll be a transition to play right. But that's fine. If he doesn't work, slide him inside. James Daniels is probably the most likely to get kicked out if Faltano would have to slide inside at right guard, but we'll see. I like the experiment to start, and it's a good pick there. Zach Frazier's a beast. I was super impressed by his combine workout after the major ankle injury in November, I believe it was, at West Virginia. No one thought he was going to work out. So, and for him to be on the field and do all the things that he did in Indianapolis was awesome to see. Road grader at the point there for Frazier. I think he's going to be an awesome guy and continue the awesome legacy that the Steelers have at the center position throughout their history. So that was number 20 overall in the first round. Second round, 51st center, Zach Frazier to West Virginia. Third round, he had 2 picks, 84th wide receiver Roman Wilson from Michigan, 98th linebacker Peyton Wilson from NC State. Fourth round, 119 guard Mason McCormick from South Dakota State. 2 sixth-rounders, 178 defensive tackle Logan Lee from Iowa, and 195 corner Ryan Watts from Texas. Again, I really like them all. Roman Wilson, I think the Steelers got 4 starters in their first 4 picks. Roman Wilson's a guy, after the release of Allen Robinson and the trade of Deontay Johnson, I mean, this wide receiver room was barren. They signed some veteran guys like Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller, Quez Watkins. They have a returner in Calvin Austin, and obviously George Pickens is the big guy. But they needed some help badly, and Roman Wilson hopefully is going to be the guy that can give them that second fiddle to George Pickens. He's slotted as the third wide receiver right now in the slot, and really excited to watch him work. I think he can do some good things there. I wasn't that high on him. I thought there was other guys that I liked better at the position at that point in the draft, but the Steelers are notorious for making those day 2 wide receivers into superstars. So would not be shocked if Roman Wilson comes out his rookie year and balls playing in this offense. Peyton Wilson, dude, I can't believe this is back-to-back drafts that the Pennsylvania teams have gotten awesome guys in the third round at linebacker. Now, unfortunately, Nakobe Dean had injuries last year, didn't really play a lot because of that. But, dude, Peyton Wilson is a guy that is going to be awesome if his injury concerns don't come back to haunt him. Now, the Steelers have done a lot of work this offseason to get their off-ball linebacker position up to shape after last year. Fiasco, a lot of injuries, wasn't very great play there for a team that obviously has historically had great linebackers. They went and got Patrick Queen. They went and got Landon Roberts. They went and got Cole Holcomb. And now they draft Peyton Wilson as well in the third round. I love it. I think he's a sideline guy, has great coverage skills as well. Going to give the Steelers team. Kind of a little change of pace guy from where Patrick Queen is. I think they're a little bit different of style of players. Queen, a lot big hitter in my mind, but Wilson is a guy that more finesse can cover running backs and tight ends there. So I'm excited to see what he can do in his rookie year. The last three picks of the Steelers, I wasn't a big fan of. Getting another lineman, I understand that they wanted to make a pretty good investment in the O-line this off season and especially the draft. And I mean, maybe they did need some work in terms of backups, but they drafted Spencer Anderson last year in the 7th round, and they also have Nate Herbig, who they signed from the Jets this offseason. Otherwise, it's a lot of undrafted guys from this year and last. So I get it. Mason McCormick's going to make his money somewhere on this line, and he's another guy that's just a road grader for that Jackrabbits offense. Back-to-back FCS national champion teams there for South Dakota State. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't hate the pick, but yeah, I think it's a good pick. And the last two though, I was not a fan of. Logan Lee, I just don't know if he's going to even make this roster. They are stacked at defensive line with the signing of Larry Ogunjobi. Obviously, they have Keanu Benton, who was awesome as a rookie last year out of the 2nd round. Cam Hayward continues to be a mainstay on that D line for years. Isaiah Loudermilk has been good as a 21 5th rounder. Montravius Adams, they signed from the Saints practice squad last year. They got Dean Lowry from the Vikings. And obviously, they drafted DeMarvin Leal in the 3rd round in 2022. And they signed Braden Fajoko from the Chargers. So it's going to be a big uphill battle for Logan Lee to even make this roster. Not sure if he's going to be able to get it done with that amount of competition ahead of him. So we'll see. He's a decent player. Iowa players usually are. So, but I have to see more, and we'll see if he can make this team. The Ryan Watts thing, I think he's going to make the team because I just don't trust this corner room. They have a bunch of guys, and I'm not sure where we're going to be. You know, we have Joey Porter, obviously. Dante Jackson should be the other starter after the trade for Deontay Johnson. Cam Sutton they have as the starting nickel right now. Then they have guys like Darius Rush, Josiah Scott, Corey Trice, who they drafted in the 7th last year, Anthony Averett, and then Ryan Watts. So Beanie Bishop I love, by the way, out of West Virginia. I think Ryan Watt's going to make the team because of just I don't think the talent is really great at the corner position. That's why I was excited when Cam Sutton signed back to Pittsburgh after his off-the-field thing that he had and his release from the Lions. But, you know, it's going to be a tough one. Corner was a position that I thought the Steelers should have addressed much earlier in this draft. I thought they needed that badly. Even with Dante Jackson on the roster, the corner depth was not great. So that was my biggest pet peeve for what the Steelers did in this draft. I only had one other need for them, and it's kind of a nitpicky one, but it's edge. The edge position for them after TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig is not very good. I mean, they have some guys, David Perales, who was an undrafted from Fresno State last year. I really like. But otherwise, it's not very good. I wouldn't be surprised if they sign someone coming up here leading to training camp. I think they need some help at edge rush. They need some veteran leadership there outside of the top 3. So I think if they can get another one of those guys, kind of like they had with Melvin Ingram before they released him and he went to Miami. But, I think they need kind of that veteran pass rusher that they can sign at low cost. And kind of help out the rotation at the top of the depth chart there. The Rams wise, grade wise here, the only thing I had for them need wise left was tackle. They did not go offensive tackle in this draft. I thought they needed that badly. I'm not sold on Alaric Jackson at left tackle. Rob Havenstein has been pretty good at right. Obviously, they drafted Warren McClendon in the 5th last year. They have Joe Noteboom, who they drafted in the 3rd in 2018, who has been a left tackle before. But I thought they needed to get an offensive tackle, especially earlier on. Maybe that Blake Corum selection, they could have went tackle instead, got running back later. So that was the only pet peeve I had with the Rams draft. Otherwise, I really like it. I think I am going to go with an A- for the Rams. I enjoyed their draft, and with the amount of picks that they had, they did very well in my mind. For Pittsburgh, I'm going to give a B+. Love the first 4 picks. The last 3 don't really move the needle for me, though. So I like B+. I think it could definitely be an A+ draft if all 4 of those top guys hit, and even Mason McCormick there at the 4th round pick there. So A- for the Rams, B+ for the Steelers. And that is the show for today, y'all. Make sure you catch the UFL playoffs starting tomorrow afternoon and Sunday night. Next week, we're doing a Thursday show next week instead of Thursday morning. So make sure you mark your calendars down for that. I think we're going to do like 11 a.m., noon Eastern kind of deal. We'll get you your UFL game preview. It is going to be the UFL championship game next weekend. And we'll also continue our draft recap series with the Jags and the Lions. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Thank you for all the downloads. Keep downloading our show, and we will see y'all back on Monday.